3 weeks ago, I went to my eye doctor, and he asked me, do you have any problems with your eyes? And I said, oh, no, absolutely not. And then even though I told him I don't have any problems, he said, well, do you have problems with reading? And I said, no. I said, I don't have any problems. And he said, oh, I'm just checking because at your age, that's when this problem starts to happen. And it hit me like a ton of bricks at my age. Oh my goodness, no one has ever told me that. And so reality has hit me that I am aging, as we all are heading to. But you know, at this decade of my life, it makes the 50s and the 60s look young to me. So, you know, it's about perspective, and it's all about how we take care of ourselves too. But you know what? You will be encountering patients and clients who are older. And so we need to know how to take care of them. Not only our patients and our clients, but also family members, parents, aunts, uncles, loved ones. So let's see what we have to look forward to. As we age, there are several physiological changes that take place. And we do have changes in body composition. We have a tendency as we get older to lose lean body mass. Oh, let me look at my time. Lean body mass. And the type of body mass that we lose is muscle mass, which includes skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and muscle that's involved with vital organs, and especially the heart. And cardiac capacity can be reduced, and its function can be impaired. So that's what we need to keep in mind with those who are older. But changes can also occur in other organs. There is a decrease in basal energy metabolism. So in order to avoid gaining weight as we get older, and as people get older, it is a good idea to really be conscientious of caloric intake and to guide them to be conscientious of their caloric intake, and to increase exercise activity, which we all should be doing now. We really shouldn't be waiting until we get older, but we should be involved in doing that now because it definitely can benefit us now in so many ways. All right. Total body fat generally increases with age, unfortunately, and as we age, fat tends to get deposited more in the abdominal section. Oh, I'm not meaning to change that just yet. Sorry about that. And in more advanced years, though, weight tends to decline. But for a while there, weight tends to increase. And bone density increases as well. And women lose much more bone mass than men after menopause, but it can also happen in men too. And severe osteoporosis, when people have that, it can actually be debilitating and it can actually be very serious. And fractured bones can mean limited mobility as people are in that age bracket. And it can also cause a decline in food intake when you have bones that are fractured. And vertebral compression fractures can change chest configuration, so it makes it much more difficult to breathe. And when it is difficult to breathe, it makes it difficult to eat adequately. The other thing that also changes is that our immune system also declines. And what happens there is that it declines with age, and it can be compromised because of nutritional deficiencies that take place. And there are also changes in the GI tract. Digestive process can actually slow down as you get older, and the intestinal tract loses its strength and its elasticity, and hormone secretions also get less secreted, which can affect digestion. And with several older people that you might come in contact with, that you might be counseling, constipation and atrophic gastritis can be an issue. Also, dental problems can happen as well. As old people get older, they might lose a few pieces of, not pieces, but teeth here and there, and some can lose all of their teeth and actually get dentures. So that can make it difficult to chew their food. Although, even though I am saying that, I have come across some patients in which they had to go quickly to the hospital, they forgot their dentures at home, and so I asked them, well, you know, I want to make sure that you'll be able to eat your meals. Can I send you soft food or even pureed food? Oh, they don't like it when you say pureed. They have actually told me, oh, don't worry about it, just send me regular consistency food. I am able to gum it. There are some very talented people out there. And I say, well, even if it's chicken or turkey, shouldn't I send that cut up pureed? Oh, no, just trust me, just send it as is. So, but for a lot of people, though, it can be an issue. And for some, it's a miracle that they can chew without it. And sensory losses can be an issue. And so sight can be diminished as we get older, and so it might be difficult to see food that's in front of them, or even to prepare food. It might be difficult for some people. And also changes in taste can also be affected as people get older. But the thing is, what can also contribute to this is that older people tend to also need multiple medications. And when you're on so many medications, it can also alter taste too. So that's something that we have to keep in mind when we are working with this population. Other issues for older adults. Well, some people tend to end up living by themselves, and so we do have to ask that, just like Dr. Bergman said, we have to ask their living situation, because it is more difficult to prepare food for one person, or if someone has become widowed, like, I don't want to say that I'm being biased, but for some widowed men who are not used to cooking all the time and they rely on their wives, it can be overwhelming for them to all of a sudden have to cook. But it could also be the opposite too, if the husband was the one that was the chef in the family and the wife had depended on her husband. But changes in support system and or the environment. There are times when people have to move and they don't have the support system that they normally have and are used to. And when you don't have that support system around you, friends and family, your appetite can be affected. And of course, polypharmacy. That means being on multiple medications can affect appetite too as well. So nutrients that are of concern for older adults. Fluid. Okay, let's take a look at fluid. With age, the ability to notice thirst decreases. So for older people, we need to remind them, how much water are you drinking every day? Because they can get easily dehydrated. When you are in a state of dehydration, some people don't realize that. And some people do. If you have a headache, that can be a sign of dehydration, but some people don't have signs and symptoms. And when you don't have enough fluid on board, then that can affect a lot of the other processes in our bodies as well. Okay. Calories. With age, the need for calories generally decreases. Excess body fat, especially around the abdomen, is common, as we said. Caloric needs change due to more body fat and less muscle mass. Less activity can also decrease caloric needs. If a person eats too few calories, too, if they're not eating enough, they have the risk of missing out on important nutrients, too. So that can be an issue that we really need to be keeping in mind. And the solution for older people is to encourage them to eat a variety of foods, because then that way they're able to cover different nutrients. Protein. It is definitely important because it helps build muscles. It's important for organs and for tissues. It keeps the immune system working the way that it should. And protein needs, they don't generally change as we get older, unless so there is a chronic disease situation that is taking place. However, protein absorption may decrease with aging. It might for some people. So to meet protein needs, it's important to encourage them to choose high quality protein foods and lean protein foods such as legumes, beans, things like that for lunch and dinner. When it comes to fat, it is wise for all of us, and not just to wait till we're much older, to reduce our fat intake, especially our saturated fat intake. That can help with prevention of cholesterol levels going up high, etc. Sometimes a low-fat diet is needed for chronic diseases if they do have that. But when you cut back on your fat intake too, that can help shave off some calories too as well. For the older population, fiber is important too, and especially when it's taken in with a good amount of water, because that can keep people regular. But that's not just for the older population, that's good for us right now. Folate is a B vitamin, and it does help to make new cells. Folate, along with vitamins B6 and B12, may help heart health by maintaining normal levels of homocysteine in the blood. However, being on several medications can actually decrease the amount of folate in our systems, and it can actually affect the action of folate in the body. And so this means that people should eat more foods that contain these nutrients, folate, and encourage them to choose cereals that are fortified with folate, the vitamins B6 and B12. Consume oranges, orange juice, they have the folate. And encourage them to also choose grains and dark green leafy vegetables as well as legumes, because folate is definitely found there. Now, vitamin B12, that is important because it helps to maintain nerve tissue. And of course, we all know that it's found in animal products, but it is required. It requires a particular stomach acid to be used by the body, and as we get older, this stomach acid actually decreases with age, so we are less able to absorb vitamin B12 from foods. So some people may need a vitamin B12 shot, or a supplement may be needed. But good sources, of course, are meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and dairy. But for those who are vegetarian, especially vegan, then they need to be guided to choose the supplements that are B12 supplements if needed. But it's important for them to get their B12 levels. Low levels of B12 have been associated with memory loss and even hearing loss too. So that's important to be taking the levels of. For calcium and vitamin D, as we know, helps to absorb calcium in where? Which part of the body? Okay, well, that's a good answer, but vitamin D helps the absorption of calcium in the gut, so it can help build strong bones. And we actually get vitamin D from the sun, which is an excellent source. So we're exposed to the sun, we're able to produce vitamin D. However, as we age, that production decreases. And so supplementation will be very important, especially with the older population. Zinc is used for wound healing and is one of the nutrients that may help slow down the progression of age-related macular degeneration. Energy and nutrient needs. Okay, let's take a look at how much water the older population needs. Well, let's keep in mind too that when an older person has a fever or is in hot weather, just like us too, you can get more dehydrated that way. So water needs, the needs for that is about 30 cc's per kilogram of body weight for healthy older adults. Energy, well, metabolism slows down with aging. And again, either encourage them to decrease their energy intake or to increase their energy output. So exercise will definitely come in here. Protein requirements. The suggestion here is about 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. It's important for immune system and to prevent muscle wasting. Okay. And when it comes to fat, we already went over that. That decreasing fat would definitely help also decrease caloric intake. And then when it comes to vitamins and minerals, select nutrient-dense foods like whole grains, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, and low-fat dairy foods to obtain adequate vitamins and minerals. So basically, a healthy diet is important for them to well-balanced. With older adults, though, we have concerns for certain diseases. When people age, they often develop chronic diseases. Many have nutrition-related consequences, or they can be treated by dietary changes, such as cancer, heart disease, and hypertension can affect the general population. But osteoporosis, macular degeneration, arthritis, and Alzheimer's are typically concerns for the older adults. So let's take a look at that. Oops, what did I do? Sorry. Okay. So vision problems. Cataracts can be an issue, and this takes place with thickening of the eye lens. Macular degeneration is the deterioration of the center of the retina, and it's responsible for straight-ahead vision. Antioxidants in foods may be protective against vision loss. What are the antioxidants that we are familiar with? Vitamins A, C, and where do we find those? Fruits, vegetables. Excellent, great job. Arthritis. Well, when it comes to the older population, osteoarthritis can be an issue. Cushioning of the cartilage in the joint breaks down. Rheumatoid arthritis can be an issue. Disease of the immune system with painful inflammation of joints is this particular arthritis. And being overweight can affect arthritis. But let me see here. The research on diet and arthritis is still pretty much ongoing. Certain nutrients, including omega-3 fatty acids, and have been pinpointed as ways to improve arthritis pain. Current recommendations are to eat an overall healthy diet and exercise as possible to achieve or to maintain. When it comes to Alzheimer's, use foods rather than vitamin supplements as much as possible. Foods that may help prevent Alzheimer's include vitamin E, omega-3 fatty acids, unhydrogenated, unsaturated fats. And another thing, too, that I had also read recently for some other studies is that I believe it was also another vitamin, but I didn't read so much on it yet. I need to do my research more on that, so I shouldn't share it too soon. Osteoporosis, loss of bone density, can result in fractures. As we know, it's more common in men than in women than in men. I'm being dyslexic here this morning. Diet and exercise can help treat osteoporosis, but may not prevent it in older adults. So good calcium sources are milk, yogurt, cottage cheese, calcium fortified juices and cereals, kale, broccoli, bok choy, fortified soy beverages, canned fish with bones, and there are also fortified almond milk. I don't know if you have that here. You have that here? Great. Yes, no, I see yes and no. Fortified rice milk, just in case you have some patients who don't want to go the dairy route, then there are other options for that. Calcium, so important. Participant, it's very important for people to participate in weight-bearing activities because that can help build strong bones. You know, I'm primarily a mountain biker for many years, but then I did read a study that said that runners, cyclists were more at risk than runners of having osteoporosis because cycling is not a weight-bearing activity. So I started to run, and now I'm addicted to running. But the thing is that weight-bearing is important, weight-bearing exercises in addition to lifting weights too. And so older adults can be involved in that too. I have seen 70 and 80-year-olds running marathons, and they are doing so well, even better than me, running faster than me, and that's fine, because God didn't make me to be fast, but I'm just so encouraged by them. But they've been really taking good care of themselves. They've been aging well. You know, they have been doing the weight-bearing exercises, which makes them have strong bones. Avoid smoking, consume calcium-rich foods or supplements, and consume adequate vitamin D. The calcium requirements for those who are 50 plus years and above is about 20 1,200 milligrams a day for both men and women. And vitamin D requirements for those who are 51 to 70 years old, it's about 400 international units a day. And for those who are older than 70, it goes up a little bit, 600 international units a day. And again, remember, it's because when we get older, our vitamin D production is not as well. Okay, my 20 minutes is almost up, so I'll go through this really quickly. But eating patterns that are recommended for older adults are the recommendations that we also recommend for those who are at a younger age too. For disease prevention and management of chronic diseases, several similar dietary recommendations are the following. Now, you have something very similar. I think it's called food-based dietary guidelines for Europeans, so I saw that, and so you have your own. So those are guidelines that you can definitely use, but a few of the dietary guidelines for Americans, 2010, the most recent one, you could definitely adopt these too, of course. Eat fruits and vegetables, vary your protein choices with fish, beans, and peas. Eat at least 3 ounces of whole grain cereals, breads, crackers, rice, or pasta every day. Have 3 servings of low-fat or fat-free dairy milk or other dairy fortified with vitamin D. And that also goes to, again, for the almond milk, the rice milk, soy milk. Make the fat that you eat healthy ones. Sorry about that typo in there. So that would be the monounsaturated fats. Okay, now we have what's called My Plate, and on your program booklets on the front, you have your own version of your own plate. And so it's very similar to ours, in which we do encourage that all people, and when you have your plate, you make half of that fruits and vegetables. A fourth of the plate come from grains, whole grains, as much as possible. They like to say make half of your grains whole, but if you can, as often as you can, you get more nutrients that way when they are whole grains. And then the other fourth of the plate should be made up of proteins. And that's just like the plate that you have. So ours is very similar. And another eating pattern recommendation is called the DASH eating pattern. And it stands for Dietary Guidelines for Americans, but you can put yourselves in there too. It basically says that fruits and vegetables are so important, and that you should consume a low saturated fat diet, as well as your intake of sodium should be low. It shouldn't be overboard. And when you consume a lot of fruits and vegetables every day, you're also increasing your intake of potassium too. And when you're doing that, you're also increasing your intake of fiber. And all those increased intakes of those particular food groups will also help decrease people's blood pressure. So this is truly a definitely well-balanced, healthy way of eating. And you can look that up on the internet as well. All of these are available on the internet. For weight management, when you have older adults that need to control their weight, help them figure out how many calories that they need on a daily basis for their height and their weight. Give them a meal plan, provide them a meal plan that will provide the right amount of calories, and encourage them to definitely increase their physical activity. Now, I put sleep in here because if you don't get enough sleep, that can increase the production of ghrelin in our bodies. And ghrelin is a peptide and a hormone that actually can make your appetite so good. It can make some people so voracious. And so when your appetite is so good, you can't help but eat more. But when that hormone in your body is at normal levels, then your appetite is regulated. So that's what I'm adding now to when I'm counseling clients, is not only food important, the right amounts of foods, exercise, but sleep is important as well. Okay, physical activity. Older adults should participate in regular physical activity to reduce functional declines associated with aging. Engage in at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity most days of the week. More exercise is recommended for weight loss. And there are so many benefits to share with your clients. older adults. You know, not only will this help with weight, but it also helps bring down cholesterol levels, helps bring down blood pressure. It can also make you feel good, because sometimes there are times that we feel depressed, lonely, sad, but when you're getting those endorphins through your body from regular exercise, that can help alleviate all those other negative feelings that we may be experiencing. Fats, you know about the recommendations for fats. Carbohydrates, we know about increasing fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And the recommendation for sodium intake per day should be less than 2,400 milligrams of sodium per day. Okay, and some people will say, well, you know what, but I don't have any issues with blood pressure right now. Or even if they're older, they may say that. But, you know, there are consequences. There are other consequences that may happen too. So encouraging them to keep their sodium intake reasonable is a good thing to do. Choose and prepare foods with little salt. Consume potassium-rich foods such as fruits and vegetables. Okay, so following those healthy, balanced meal plans is the way to go for older adults, and exercise. Those are the two things that go hand in hand. Now, this last slide says the only thing that comes to us without hard work is old age. But I want to add to that, you know, it may be hard work in order to grow gracefully older, but the dividends and the results that you will get from putting into exercising and making sure that you're preparing healthy foods, being conscientious of the foods that you buy, will definitely be worth it. Because it's not that we want to live as long as we possibly can, more than 100 years. If that's your goal, that's great, that's wonderful. But you know, it's really about that quality of life and being able to feel good. Because when you feel good too, you're able to help others too. And that's what we want. We want to be able to be loving and caring to those around us, not only to friends, clients, patients, but especially more so to our family members as well. So cheers to all of us to growing together gracefully.